say, kids, what time is it?
Oh, man, you beat me by 5, Edson.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard to catch up at the end there. There's too many. You had to be perfect for that last week. But it's a new season now with the playoffs, and I have a feeling I'm going to do terrible on this because I can see how there's a road to like all these underdogs winning, and I'm going to go with the conventional thinking, but I'm going to get them wrong. So,
Yeah, it was crazy. That last weekend was insane. I mean, I had a personal interest in that
yeah,
late game, as it turned out, and the odds of things happening were so low. They were projected out so low, and it ended up happening. Like,
yep.
it was crazy. We'll get to some of those
I
as they
mean,
play
yeah.
out.
If there was ever any doubt as whether they should have a week 18, now they're definitely keeping that
Oh my God.
after that week.
And you talk about parity, and you wanted parity in the league. They got it because
They got it.
they had 7 teams looking for a playoff spot, and it went down to literally went down to the last 2 seconds of the season.
Yeah, the last play of the last game.
Yeah.
Of week 18.
And I was thinking about you when that happened because that's the way the whole year went.
Yep, that's it.
It was week after week we talked about, and it was mostly these primetime games. Again, it was a primetime game that were coming down to these last-minute kicks and overtimes, and it was insane.
Yep.
Absolutely insane. It was. You don't want to know what happened to my stomach that day.
Oh man.
So real quick, let's recap our season records. Then I think we should talk about the Black Monday, the coaches. That.
Right. Yeah.
And then we can get into our wild card picks. So I went 8-8. You went 9-7. We had 5 different games last week. 5, and you won 3 of them.
Yeah, that was your kind of like your road to catching up, and if you could get them all, and you came close. All those games were kind of pretty well, except the Cowboy Eagle game wasn't that close. But
right.
The other 4 games were very, very close. Could have gone either way. All 4 of them.
Yeah,
so.
they were. But and I'm so proud of myself. I got the Lions right.
Yeah.
And it's I say this in hindsight, and viewers, you can believe me or don't. But as we were picking last week, I almost took a flyer on the Jags. I just had that with that record that they haven't won down there in like 7 years.
Yeah.
The Colts and Carson Wentz. I was kind of like, the Jags just might go out there. And like I said, when the day started, we were watching it. I was over at my friend Doug's watching the games, and I said, Trevor Lawrence hasn't had that national championship Trevor Lawrence game yet. And he's got one in him. Maybe he's going to do it today. It's the last game. Maybe he's just going to go out there and ball out like he did in college. And that's exactly what he did.
And that's what he did.
So, yeah, I mean, it was just nuts. Just nuts how it all turned out.
I just didn't think. I mean, I get the history of the Colts having problems in Jacksonville, but it's like it's your playoff freaking life. I just figured somehow Frank Reich would just have a set so that some kind of motivation that they would never let this one slip away, and it wasn't even close. It's like keep the ball out of Wentz's hands, keep it in Taylor's hands, and just. But the defense didn't show up either, so that's bad.
Yeah,
just the worst loss I can see in that last.
Week. Really, that was not what you would expect for a team that was that hot with the playoffs in their own hands. Their destiny was in their own hands, and they just went out there and laid it. Boy, they talk about crap in the bed, right?
Yeah.
So you ended up 169 and 103 overall. I ended up 164 and 108. But I think the applause we deserve here is that we called all 272 games on the schedule.
Wow,
that's a
I honestly
lot
didn't think
of football
that
games.
I honestly didn't think that we'd get them all, but
I didn't either. I honestly thought we'll skip a couple weeks here and there, but we did it.
Jeez.
And now the pressure's on because we got 4 weeks to go.
Yeah.
We got to finish this thing out. So
Yeah, I hope these weeks these are kind of probably comes down to the very best weeks now.
So are we going to predict the Pro Bowl on the week in between?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how. No,
No,
I
we
don't
will
think
not. I
so.
think we'll take a week
That's
off.
right. I totally forgot. There's still a freaking week in between. Jeez.
Yeah. I hate that because the playoffs have so much momentum, and if in the past, like my team has been in the Super Bowl, and I got to wait 2 weeks
2 weeks.
and
Yep.
listen to hype and media nonsense and coaching talk for 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's a long time.
It is a long
But I think
time.
it is better though for the teams in it. They get to kind of reset. If they
Oh,
have
for
injured
them, yeah.
players, they
Yeah.
get back. I
It
mean, I
is.
get why they do it the 2 week because a lot of times when they had that Super Bowl the week after the championship, some of those teams were gassed and
Yep.
it just I think you get a better product when you wait the 2 weeks, and I think the advertisers and the networks appreciate that too.
Yeah. Certainly do.
They get to build all the hype and whatnot, and so but there were some casualties of Black Monday, which is the Monday after the football season ends. It's when coaches get fired, GMs
There
get
always
fired.
are. Yep.
And we'll go over the obvious ones in a minute. But boy, I texted you the minute I heard Adam Schefter report. I was stunned at what happened in Miami to Brian Flores.
Really, what a joke of an organization to do this. This has nothing to do with the product on the field. As I kind of looked a little bit more, not that I'm some kind of expert on what's going on with the Miami organization, but looking a little bit more into it, has nothing to do with what he did with that team on the field, because that would have never happened if it was about that. This has to do with their general manager being there forever, having the ear of the owner, and the owner just kind of like, wiping his hand and letting him do it, and whatever he decides. If there's a conflict between him and the coach is gone no matter what. And that's a stupid way of running the organization. They're never going to go anywhere until they clean house completely. It's like
You thought
it probably includes the owner, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah, if you were a Dolphins fan and thought Wayne Huizenga was a problem, I think Stephen Ross is he's an even bigger problem. This guy's a monster.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, just to kind of set the table from someone looking in, I'm not a Miami fan, just looking in on it. The way I see it, so they have this general manager who 3 seasons ago, when they hired Brian Flores, emptied the cupboard on him.
Yeah.
Just got rid of everybody. Just kind of reset. They wanted to build from the ground up. Okay,
Right.
fine. Brian Flores had a competitive team with nobody on it.
Right away, yeah.
Right away. They won, I think, 6 or 7 games that season when everybody thought they were going to tank for Tua. They ended up getting Tua anyway because he dropped in the draft.
Yep.
But they did not tank. They went out there and toward the end of the year, they were playing really good. And then so you could see that there was an upside to what was going on. And last year, they make the playoffs. This year, or did they miss by a game last year? It was close. They were good last year. They won, 9 or 10 games last year.
Oh my gosh.
The trajectory was up. I don't really remember either. They might have made it. They might not have. But I think maybe they lost on the last game of the season. Maybe that's what happened to Buffalo. And they were out.
Okay.
Didn't Buffalo roll them on the last game? Maybe that, if I remember. These seasons all. But then this year, this team starts 1-7. How many times did we talk about how these players responded after they're 1-7 on a 7-game losing streak after winning the first game? Yep. And they did not quit, and they ended up 9-8, over 500, barely missed the playoffs.
Still a winning season. Yep.
A winning season. This is when 3 seasons ago the cupboard was emptied and they started over again. To me, and this statement from Ross about the reason he left is because players don't want to play for him. He's too hard on them, and
that's ridiculous.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah. Nobody with 2 brain cells that you can rub together and make a spark
that's crazy.
Will believe that shit because that team didn't quit on him.
I mean, just look at the evidence on the field.
That's it. Just look at that's what I'm saying. These last 3 seasons, he has had nothing. This general manager has given him barely anything to work with. He's got no running game, an offensive line full of holes.
Bad, yeah.
Give me a break. The upside to this is Brian Flores is an awesome coach, and he's going to have his pick of where he wants to go. I'm guessing he's going to go to either Minnesota or Denver because there's tons of talent, and they're ready to win now. And then it came out later, there's a lot of reports that Brian Flores didn't want Tua on draft day. He wanted Herbert.
Wow. I didn't even hear that, but knowing that, it's like that's so stupid for not letting him do that.
Yeah.
Imagine where they would be right now.
Oh, if they had
I mean,
Herbert, they're winning
I
12
mean,
games a year. He's a much
yeah.
better coach. He's a much better coach than Brandon Staley. The reason
Oh,
the Chargers are not in the playoffs is because their coach is an idiot. He's an
yeah,
idiot.
that's true, and we'll get to more of that
Yeah.
in a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, I heard some rumors too that like the recent like Houston waited I don't know why they waited extra few days to fire their coach for
to
some reason,
Cully,
which
yeah.
didn't make sense because that team was competitive with absolutely nothing as well. And I heard it was because they kind of were targeting Flores also there. So whether he wants to go there or not, because that seems like a dysfunctional organization, I don't know, but they really like him, so they might be going after
Oh
him.
yeah, Flores is going to have his choice. He can take any one of these openings now.
In Chicago, I'm sure will probably
Chicago would probably be on his list. I would with Justin Fields in that defense. Why the hell not, right?
Yeah.
You got Montgomery running the ball, and if you can re-sign the receiver, what's his name, Robinson, who's a free agent, if you can bring him back or get comparable talent in there, it's not a hard fix. They have the same problem. Their offensive line's a friggin' mess, and they have their coaching staff was abysmal. So I mean, I don't think Brian Flores was too hurt by it because he knows he's going to have his pick of jobs. But my God, Miami, what are you doing? And I was talking to a Jets fan at the gym, and he's like, "Oh, I'm happy. They just did the Jets a huge favor.
Yep,
getting rid of him. Yeah,
and the rest of that division too.
Yeah, yeah. So it makes you wonder too if the Jets are going, oh, if only we waited one more year, we can have Brian Flores.
Had him.
Yeah,
they have a good coach. I think
they do. But I think Brian Flores is such a good coach that he gets so much out of nothing. Like he's gotten so much out of nothing. And well, this is going to set Miami back. I'm sorry. They're going.
I agree with you.
They're going to go backwards. They're going to rue the day they made this mistake. Because he's going to go hook up. I'm guessing in Minnesota or Denver. Those are I would think his top two choices, because they're so close to being there.
Yep.
And with all the talent on those two teams, he can definitely bring them into the playoffs and maybe go contend for a championship pretty quickly.
You usually don't have a coach that gets fired get a head coach job right away, but he's going to be the exception.
Oh yeah. I mean,
usually they go and become a coordinator for a year or two, and then they come back. He's going to go straight to
straight to head coaching. I mean, the reaction across the media and online was everybody was stunned. I mean, how do you make that choice? How do you make that choice? I mean, it's to me, I think it all comes down to, you're right, it was a personality conflict between the general manager, whose name escapes me right now, and Flores, and the owner chose the general manager, who has drafted horribly and given him nothing to work with,
and has been there through like about 4 or 5 coach turnovers too. That's another thing.
Sounds like cronyism to me, to be honest with you.
Yep.
But so other coaches, Cully, and I bet Cully would have stayed in Houston if that didn't happen to Brian Flores. The ripple effect. Brian Flores was like the third coach fired or the fourth coach fired.
Yep.
He was fired on Monday, and there were a couple of teams holding off, and then boom, they got rid of their coaches a day or two later, and it's clearly in reaction to that. The Bears and the Vikings did what we thought they were going to do. They not only got rid of their head coaches, Nagy and Mike Zimmer, but they also got rid of their general managers as well.
Right.
They're starting clean, and those two teams have a lot of talent. So whoever hooks up in there is going to be off and running, I think.
There must be somebody out there who's had some kind of experience with Flores, like personally, and call him up right now and say, look, we could both go to this team and do this together or something. They'd be straight in. It's like it wouldn't even be like the interviews would be a kind of a formality type thing. But we'll see.
Brian Flores is the first guy on the Bill Belichick coaching tree that's actually succeeded.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only good coach that came out of there.
Yep.
Every other one of Belichick's assistants goes to a head coaching job and washes out. They're terrible.
And then washes out.
Yeah. This was not on Brian Flores. This is all on Stephen Ross, and Miami's in trouble for that. So then Joe Judge, who the Giants a couple weeks ago said we're bringing him back, decided to run his mouth and then run a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9 on his own 17-yard line. And I think that cost him his job.
That play's got to be the epitome of the Giants season. It's like
Oh,
What
it's
the
emblematic
hell?
of their whole. What? My God! What?
You're gaining 1 extra yard so you can give room to your punter. That's your call right
With
there.
Saquon Barkley standing behind him. I mean, that makes so many statements
I
on so
can't
many
like.
levels. I mean, to me, it says that's Joe Judge saying, "I don't want Saquon Barkley anymore."
Yeah,
It's him saying, I'm done with this team. I'm done with what you've given me. I want more." I mean, you told me a couple weeks ago he was bragging about how everybody loves him and wants to play for
that's
him.
what he was saying. Yep, which
I
it
think
was
that dude's a
weird.
horse's ass, and he's out there taunting
Oh yeah,
Ron Rivera, calling Ron Rivera like a beta male and all this kind of stuff. Like, what are you doing? Ron Rivera will come over and squeeze your head like a grape, dude. You don't
he
mess
must
with
have
Ron
been.
Rivera. If Ron Rivera
Yeah,
wasn't suffering from freaking cancer, he'd go kick that guy's ass. Like,
like that guy must have been just some kind of really expert on interviewing, because how he got that job, I don't know. And this is me
well,
going way back to when they hired him.
he came off the Belichick coaching tree.
Yeah, I know, but still.
It's amazing how Bill Belichick's assistants don't work out. I don't understand it. I mean, do they do nothing really, and it's all Bill Belichick? Like, because these guys go somewhere else, they can't do it.
I think they do their tasks well, but they need direction from Bill Belichick.
I
Like
think
Bill
you're right.
Belichick is more like he sees every aspect, as a head coach should do.
Right.
Oversees every aspect of the team, doesn't let it go by, doesn't let it slip away. And they took directions and did well, but they need that direction. They can't, like, on their own. I don't know what they don't know how to do
Yeah,
it.
I think you make a really good point, and I think it's kind of one of those situations where because Belichick's the alpha in the room, right?
Yep.
And they get comfortable not having to take that extra amount of responsibility.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then
Yep.
they go somewhere else and they just kind of drift around, and then they try to be Bill Belichick. They try to be an authoritarian like he is or something, and they just don't command the respect because they've accomplished zero, right?
Right.
So it's bizarre, but and then Gettleman, the GM, he was fired, but he's like, I resign. Yeah, no, you're fired.
No, you're fired.
And apparently the Giants are like 18 million under the cap already, and they have 2 top 10 picks in the coming draft. They're going to have to trade down. How are they going to pay 2 top 10 salaries?
Yeah,
I don't know what they're going to do. They're a mess.
they're a mess.
They're going to have to clean house, and they're going to have to unload a lot of expensive players and just start over again.
Yep.
And I think they might have kept Joe Judge despite the antics until Brian Flores got fired, and they were like, let's go get that guy.
Let's go trade.
Yeah. So,
It's amazing how Brian Flores could be in a position where you lose your job, but you have a pick, your whatever pick you want.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he might even have a shot in Las Vegas, which I don't. Rich Bisaccia's done an awesome job. Just an awesome job with that team.
I think so
with
too,
everything that went on there this year. And he seems like I like him. He just seems like this kind of chill guy. You see him in the interviews, like, yeah, yeah, it is what it is. I think that's a perfect mentality for a team that's in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they should keep him. They're going to be tempted to go get Brian Flores probably, or Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's apparently trying to come back. Who knows? I mean, I think Jim Harbaugh belongs in Chicago. He's an ex-Bear. That's where he should go.
Yeah, he has ties to them. Yep.
And he's got that Midwestern thing. That's where he should go. I don't know. I mean, Vic Fangio lost his job in Denver. There's a lot of moving parts. It's going to be interesting. It always is. It always is. And I don't think you can make coaching moves until Super Bowl week or the week before, right? Because you can't interview people on playoff teams.
No, you definitely can't do that
until the playoffs are over. So a lot of teams wait, but then you got to get them in quickly too, because they got to start planning for the draft. You got to get on the same page with the GM.
Don't they? Yeah, right.
Start bringing in their staff.
That week off that they have in between championship, and don't they interview during that
I think they can interview during that. I could be wrong.
I thought so. But
I think they can interview, but I don't think if let's say they're interested in, say, Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, I don't think they can actually make a hire until the Super Bowl's over. Yep, but they can interview him in the interim. I
Yep,
think that's
yep.
how it works.
I agree. Yep, that's true.
Yeah. So, and Eric Bieniemy, by the way, has been hosed now for a couple of years. I don't know why that dude is not a head coach is beyond me.
I don't know
He
either.
deserves one. I hear Byron Leftwich is a hot candidate right now, Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator. I think you'll see what's his name, the defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay, the ex-Jets coach there. God, I'm drawing a blank. Todd
Oh, Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles. I think he's going to get another shot somewhere. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of good coaches out there, and I think guys like Mike Zimmer will land a defensive coordinator job again
Oh,
somewhere. And
for sure.
I'd love to
Yeah.
see Pittsburgh bring Mike Zimmer in as a defensive coordinator. Why not? So, a lot of moving parts, but I think one thing we can definitely say there were two teams that out of that whole bunch that seemed to really drastically underachieve, and that was Minnesota and Denver.
Yeah.
With the amount of talent on both teams, Minnesota in particular, why they've ended up 7-9 with that team.
With that,
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
yeah, that great running game, good receiving core, at least one great receiver, and then quarterback. I mean, so he has these off games, but he has all the potential to be good, and their defense was decent. So I don't get it. So whatever was missing, was it game planning? Was it motivation? I don't know, but they seem
Well,
to lose these weird games.
weird games, and I think if you look at Kirk Cousins, if you break it down, and I'm just spitballing here, I haven't looked at any, I haven't studied any statistics or anything, but from the few games I did watch, Kirk Cousins in the second half, I'm guessing, and particularly the fourth quarter, his stats are probably not where they are early in the game, where he's putting up these crazy numbers. And like when I watched him in person, it seems like he was shrinking from the big moments instead of stepping up like a franchise quarterback should be doing.
Yep.
So I don't know. But the off season's always fun, and we'll keep our eye on that. We'll do
We're
our
gonna have
draft show, and I'm sure during the draft show, or we'll have an off season show. We'll talk about some of the new hires and free agent signings like we did last year. So that's the fun part. I love the off season stuff.
Yeah, all the movement
Yeah,
back and forth with the free agent signings, all the free agent tracker.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. I like the baseball, the hot stove for the same reason. In December, the hot stove thing. We start to see free agents and trades, and that gets interesting. This year there wasn't one because they're being locked out right now. I don't know if there's going to be a baseball season.
Jeez.
What, they got 4 weeks till they're supposed to report for camp, and there's no
Yep.
movement. There's
There's
nothing
no
going on.
movement.
None. So yeah, bizarre. So, are you ready?
No, but we're going forward anyway.
I'm not either.
I'm just a little nervous. I don't know why I'm so nervous about this play. It's like, I mean, I don't have a personal thing in it because my team's not in there, but still, it's just like,
I can't. I go back and forth on these, and there's
yeah,
going to
me
be
too.
there's at least one upset coming this weekend. There's at least one.
There's
And
probably
my
gonna be more
money's
than one,
on
but
all 3 AFC games. There's one of those at least is going to be an upset. The NFC, I think, was more cut and dry, but the AFC, it's anybody's ball game. I think this weekend.
yeah, I could see a path to all three of or I could actually see a path to all six of them, but mostly in the AFC, all three of the underdogs
Yeah.
uh, to win that game, win their game. So
All right.
uh,
Let's get to it. First one up. Saturday afternoon, 4:35 on NBC. The Las Vegas Raiders travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals.
which to me might be the most interesting game right off the bat. To me personally, I'm not saying it's the game of the week, but I mean I'm very interested because I'm the whole Cincinnati, they've kind of been had an up and down season, but I've been really cheering them on. Joe Burrow finally breaking through and having these great games. They had like 2 500-yard games. Jamar Chase, how he worked out perfectly for them. And I could easily again the Raiders are going to show up. They're going to be just like this relaxing. It's like everything is like kind of there's no pressure on them.
Right.
Like they have a great defensive line, so Joe Burrow better that the Cincinnati offensive line really has to keep the Raiders off of them in order to get a good start off. Because if they have the bad start, this could start like this avalanche where they could really be in big trouble. Um, I'm going to pick Cincinnati because I think they're like as healthy as they can be. They're well rested, and of course the Raiders went all the way till like what Sunday night midnight on that. So they might be a little bit kind of not tired, but kind of a little deflated after that whole emotional win. But I could easily just see them win as well. I don't see this like a blowout on Cincinnati's part. Maybe like 3 or 6 point win. The key is that they get their passing game going early on. That'll set up the running game. But again, that Raiders defensive line is so strong. I'm not too keen on their secondary, so they rely on their defensive line to try to just limit those really long passes. And the only thing I'm going to say about that's I know we touched on that Sunday night game. Okay, so there's a lot of these so-called like media experts that have been in football for a long time that are blaming is it Staley? Yeah. Um, for that loss to the Chargers when he took the timeout with 38 seconds left. No, I completely disagree. Because they're saying that if he didn't take that timeout, it would have gone for a tie. No, it wouldn't have. The play clock was down to like 5 seconds. The Raiders were going to do whatever they did after the timeout, regardless. They were going to still run that play. It's not like they called the timeout and with like all this time left on the play clock that the Raiders were going to. No, they were still going to go ahead and go for the win if they got like some significant yardage on that play. So
Right.
I don't think that timeout ruined. And I think it was oh gosh, what was that Sunday night guy? That Cincinnati
Collinsworth.
Collinsworth. He kept went on and on about this. No, I completely disagree. It looked like what he was doing was he saw that it was going to be a running play and he wanted to kind of change personnel a little bit to try to stop. Regardless, their run defense just stunk. Even when they saw it coming, those last 3 plays, they ran all over them. They still saw it coming. That was a problem with just not being able to stop him. But I don't think him calling the timeout was a problem. Now, you want to go back to earlier in the game when he went fourth down happy on his own 18-yard line? That
Yeah.
probably is a big deal. I just don't think that last thing was going to be a big. If they could have stopped them and they saw the run coming, if they could have stopped the Raiders like right at that 45-yard line, the Raiders would have just ended in a tie. But they couldn't stop them. So, anyways, I'm picking Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I just had to get that off my shoulders.
I'm with you on that. If you want to criticize Staley about anything, it was all season long doing that.
Yeah.
Because he might have cost them a win or two somewhere along the line
sure.
where they wouldn't have to depend on this last minute comeback. The fact that they converted 6 fourth downs in the fourth quarter in overtime, 6 of them, that's insane.
That is insane. That's all on Herbert.
It was so frustrating to me. As a Steelers fan, if that game ends in a tie, the Steelers are out. So the Steelers are in the playoffs for a whole 6 hours at this point. And I'm like, what are the odds? I mean, come on. One of these teams is going to win. And all of a sudden, it's overtime. Like, when he tied the game, I was like, you got to be shitting me. You got to be shitting me. Like, every single time it was – and these were not 4th and 1s. These were 4th and 12s, 4th and 18, 4th and –
Yeah.
The other play we want to go to specifically spotlight this game, and you're right, that timeout didn't affect anything. In fact, the timeout, he wanted to try to get the right people on the field because he knew the run was coming. They were down to 4 seconds on the play clock. They were going to run the ball.
Yep.
He called it so he could give his guys a breather and then get his guys out there, and they still couldn't stop it. That's how that happened.
That's the problem.
Earlier in the game, the Raiders had a 3rd and 23, ran the ball to be conservative, and got 23 yards.
23 yards.
So
That's
if
so bad.
you want to talk about things like that, those are plays that shouldn't happen when you're supposed to be a playoff caliber team and you're playing for your playoff life. That shouldn't be happening. That game was all Justin Herbert and the wideouts and Eckler. They were the only ones who played that game. The defense was abominable.
Oh, they were bad.
They were really bad. Their play calling was abysmal. Like, it was all him. So yeah, it was tough. The Raiders, Derek Carr, they're playing with that house money, whatever. It is what it is kind of attitude. His post-game interview was kind of like that. He's like, yeah, we're just kind of having fun with it, and it is what it is. Out of all, I really could see them winning this game.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen Cincinnati slip on the banana peel a few times in games that they've got they should win or look like would be an obvious win. But boy, the last couple games, Joe Burrow's just going crazy. He's putting up 500 yards, and Jamar Chase almost seems undefensible at this point. You're right. That Raiders line in Ngakoue and Crosby. Is Carl Nassib back? I'm not sure if Carl Nassib's going to be back.
Not
And the
sure.
other guy got, what was his name? Philos. The guy, he got carted off. He had a
Yeah.
great game the other night. I don't know if he'll be playing either. I was looking at the injury report. I didn't see anything. But you're right. I mean, that's a huge emotional win. Now they got to go on the road. I'm not saying it's impossible,
No, it's not.
but I go back and forth on this one. I'm thinking Raiders, and then I think about it, and I'm like, well, no, Burrow to Chase is like indefensible right now. It's going to be tight. I think it's going to be. Well, I think all these games will be tight, but I'll go with you. I'll go with Cincinnati at home. I just think the Raiders might be kind of a little bit out of gas,
It's a
but I
little
can
bit.
see it. I can see it happening.
The only two things that I wanted that could spell Cincinnati having a problem is remember when they had their bye week and they came out of their bye week all well rested and then got hammered by the Jets.
Yeah,
That's one thing. Now they're doing the same thing where they kind of stopped their momentum, took it easy on it. So that's one thing to watch out for. And the other thing is like they just sometimes have these kind of like weird, like you wonder like if they're still very young. So you
yeah.
wonder if when the pressure mounts up, now it's playoff time, are they mature enough where they like physically, they know how to win, but mentally, do they know how to win? Or are they going to have kind of like one of those kind of mental lapses? But
And
other
I
than
was
that,
thinking that, but then I thought, well, the Raiders have the same issue.
yes, that's true.
They
That's true.
they haven't been there either. So
That's true. Yeah.
it's a
I
toss
hope
up.
it's a good game.
I think it will be. Let's quickly check the old weather report. So here's what we got here for Saturday afternoon in Cincinnati, the Queen City. 30-degree high. Winds out of the northeast at 9 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 20. Probability of precipitation at 25%. Snow is actually coming the next day,
Oh, okay.
which blows. I'd love to see a snow game. But by the way, we're using AccuWeather.com. They are not sponsoring us, but if they'd love to, would love the sponsorship, AccuWeather. So
Yeah, that'd be great. 30 degrees, that's just like perfect football
yeah,
weather.
that's good playoff football weather. So we'll see. I mean, the weather could change on a dime.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's within 24 hours. It's tomorrow. We're taping this on Friday, so yeah, we'll see. I'd love to see some bad weather in some of these games, though. Like this next one, Saturday night, 8:15 p.m. on CBS. Bill Belichick and the Patriots go back up to Buffalo, where they had that weird game in the wind and snow, where New England threw the ball 3 whole times. To play in
What is
Orchard Park, Highmark Stadium at 8:15 against the Bills.
what is Bill Belichick going to come up with this time? That's like the thing that I would be in like all the Buffalo Bills heads. What is he going to come up with? Like, and are we going to like be able to like do adjustments for him? This is like their third game
Yeah.
like this year.
Yep.
They know each other so well,
Yep.
and you would think that would give an advantage to like a more experienced coach like Bill Belichick who comes up with all these like really good game plans. It's hard to go against them when, um, like I said, this is like the third game now, but I don't know. Mac Jones, he's been doing well most of the year, but he kind of like has run into a little bit of problems the last few games. Um, wasn't doing very well against the Dolphins of all teams. Um, again, had a bad start against the Colts as well. And I don't know. I can't say he's come back down to earth because it's not like he was playing at this really high level, but he was very solid pretty much throughout the year as Bill Belichick has kind of like brought him on little by little. I don't know. I'm almost afraid to make this pick. I'm going to pick the Bills because they finished off so strong. Allen's playing as good as he has been all year round. As a matter of fact, he took that whole game on his shoulders against the Patriots the last time. But still, I fear that there might be something that he's going to grab out of the bag that's going to stymie the Bills. But I'm going to go with what I think it has the better talent, the Bills.
Yeah, I this is another one. Like I said, these AFC games, like you toss a coin, they can go. All of them can go either way. And yeah, I'm including the Steelers in there.
Yep,
Um,
me too.
Mac Jones was actually he was nominated for the Pepsi Zero Sugar NFL Rookie of the Year.
Ooh,
So good for Mac Jones. Um,
okay.
yeah, I this is another one where I've gone back and forth, and I've made my pick, and I've settled on the Patriots.
Okay.
And it's the familiarity thing. And actually, our friend Paul kind of gave me a little, and he's the Kreskin, like he's a Jets fan, but he's like the Patriots are winning that game.
Wow.
The Bills are spasmatic, right? And the Bills have zero running game. They have Josh Allen, and I just that plays into Bill Belichick's hands, I think. And when they played that game in the snow, Josh Allen threw the ball like 30 times. They were very unsuccessful with it. They're going to be forced into throwing a lot again. And I see the Patriots defense being the difference here. The Bills have a good defense. The Patriots have a better defense. And I know my initial instinct was Buffalo against a rookie quarterback. That's a mismatch. But Bill Belichick knows how to protect a quarterback like that. He did it with Tom Brady in 2001, went all the way and won the Super Bowl with the
Yeah.
same kind of team.
Yep. It is the same kind of
The
team.
same kind of team. And I initially, like I said, I was like, Buffalo's got more talent. Buffalo's going to win the game. But then when you start to think about it and you start to think about the matchups, and even that second game, they got off to a slow start, New England, the one in Foxborough, and they made it close. And I agree with you. Mac Jones the last couple weeks has not looked all that good. But I can't go against the hoodie on this one. I think that he knows Buffalo really well. I think and I think he's going to outcoach Sean McDermott on this one. I think it's going to come down to the coaching on this one. And I mean, when you look at the two quarterbacks, Josh Allen is definitely superior, but I just got this feeling New England might turn him over a couple times, and Buffalo can't run the ball, and New England can run the ball. Um, I got a vibe. I got the Patriots. So let's check the old weather report from our friends at AccuWeather. But they're not our friends, but they can be.
It can't be.
Oops, I got the wrong tab open. So there we are. Saturday night in Buffalo, it's going to be 4 degrees.
Wow. Okay. That's not good.
Winds out of the east northeast at 5 miles per hour. Wind gusts up to 12. Zero precipitation.
That's not that bad.
But it's going to be cold.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be cold. They even wrote here on AccuWeather, bitterly cold with a moonlit sky, a cold evening for football.
Yeah, that's gonna be like might give problems gripping that ball for passing.
Right. So it's gonna feel like when you get hit, it's gonna feel like broken glass. Like it's gonna hurt. It's gonna smack. And that's gonna be it's gonna be a bloody AFC East bloodbath for sure. But
Wow.
that's my wild card upset so far. Shall we move on to Sunday? Can you handle Sunday? Sunday, we get our first NFC wildcard game Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox. The upstart Eagles travel down to Tampa to take on Tom Brady and the reigning champs.
You know, it was this weird game. They actually played them this season, and it wound up being, it was like 28-22. It wasn't like that bad of a game.
No, it wasn't.
It's quite a while ago, and I don't know. Maybe the Eagles match up pretty well against Tampa Bay. They do have like their run game has really gotten so much better as the year goes by, and I'm not too sure about the Tampa Bay defense. Um, the thing is, can Hurts like keep enough of a balance in terms of the passing game to give them a chance to just keep Tom Brady off the field enough? I'm not sure about that. I mean, I'm not saying for sure that this is going to be like such a blowout as the odds makers say. Um, I still think Tampa Bay is going to pull this out. Tom Brady at home or at his current home, Tampa Bay, in the playoffs against pretty much like a rookie quarterback. And I'll pick Tampa Bay, but I think it'll be a lot closer than what most people think.
Yeah, the Eagles finished up strong. I think I made the joke, the glib, they flew under the radar. They finished up really strong. I was really disappointed in their performance against Dallas in Week 18. Again, I've picked them a couple times this year, and they've screwed me every single time. So
that particular one, they kind of just mailed it in.
Boy, they really did.
I mean, didn't try.
If they were locked into that 7th seed, no matter what they did. But I thought they were going to want to go in on a high, being the team that they are and the team that they were projected to be, and clubbing the Cowboys would have been a great momentum builder, I think. I'm starting to wonder if getting their asses handed to them by Dallas like that is going to play with their heads a little bit.
Yeah.
They weren't even in that game. It was disgusting. So, yeah, and even when Dallas emptied the bench, they still couldn't stop them.
Right.
Yeah, Tom Brady. I mean, come on, what could you say? The guy's been in 10 Super Bowls. He knows how to do this. I think for the most part, he's getting most of his guys back. I think he's going to have Ronald Jones at least, if not Leonard Fournette again. Godwin's gone, but he's going to have Mike Evans. He's got Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
No, but he's got Gronk, and they know they ran the gauntlet last year. They know what they're doing. They're home. I think you're right. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think Tampa Bay can win. I think they're gonna win by 10, probably.
I mean, I think the only chance the Eagles have is it's like you get this fluky thing, like where I forgot what Tampa Bay was playing. It was like the Jets, where they kind of there were some fluky plays and where he throws in interceptions and stuff like that, and it kind of builds up a little bit. And even then, he still has a great chance of overcoming that. But it'll have to be a couple more than one fluky play.
Yeah, and I just think, you've got, like we were talking about their assistant coaches, Tampa Bay's assistant coaches earlier, Leftwich on offense, Bowles on defense.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good. They're going to be in playoff mode. They won the Super Bowl last year. This is where, like, they're not going to fart around. They might have been farting around in the Meadowlands with the Jets. They're not going to fart around now. This is all business. They're going to be a really tough out. So I don't think Philly's got much of a chance in this one. Let's check the old weather. Another outdoor game, Tampa Bay.
Wow.
69 degrees.
Jeez.
Balmy. Yeah, balmy. Winds out of the southwest at 21 miles an hour with gusts up to 37.
That's actually okay. That's
probability of precipitation 77%. Probability of thunderstorms 23%.
That could bring the fluky place for sure.
For sure. It looks says hours of precipitation 4 with a chance of like 0.3 of an inch of rain. It says here, rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, some sun returning, windy. Thunderstorms can bring damaging winds and even an isolated tornado.
Wow. Okay.
So, actually, if I click afternoon, we get a little more detail on that. But, yeah, basically the same. Same numbers. So, it's going to be muggy, balmy, and very windy and possibly wet. So, you never know. I mean, with a wet ball and they play on grass, you can start chewing up the field. Watching the Steelers Ravens last week, guys were slipping and falling all over the place.
Right.
So if the turf starts getting kicked up, I mean, those are the things that will equalize the game. When everybody, now it comes down to who's got, who puts the right cleats on, and things like that. Who fumbles snaps, or if the ball gets away from Tom a few times and there's a pick six here. The weather can be a big equalizer, and that's why I hate domes. Get out of the domes. It's not football.
And I hope this doesn't happen, but these type of conditions can also bring on those fluky type injuries that could be bad.
Well,
and I really don't want that to happen.
Wow, way to bring the downer, Edson.
Yeah, but it has happened.
No, you're right. It has happened.
I really hope it doesn't in that way.
No, when you get to this part in the year, you want to be clean.
Yeah.
You don't want to see guys getting hurt, and that changes the whole complexion
Yeah,
of.
it certainly does.
I remember as a kid, the '76 Steelers were the best Steelers team of that era. But right at playoff time, they lost Franco Harris and they lost Rocky Blyer and Terry Bradshaw, and they were done. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
it.
that sucks, you know. So it's no fun. And by the way, I forgot who made the tweet this morning. It was I forgot who it was. It was somebody in NFL media. Oh, it was Colin Dunlap from Pittsburgh, from 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. He said, "Wow, the NFL has no COVID issues this week. They fixed it all just in time for the playoffs. How convenient."
Yeah, really convenient.
You know, talking about injury, like the last couple of weeks, it's been like, this guy and that guy and this guy, and they're all on the. Suddenly, there's nobody on COVID
There's
protocol.
nothing.
No, interesting. Sunday at 4:30 p.m. on CBS, which is weird because it's an NFC matchup, NFC wildcard matchup. The return to the all I can think of the early '90s here in John Madden. The
John Madden,
49ers
Pat
at the
Summerall.
Cowboys. Pat Summerall, AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Jerry's
Yeah,
World.
Jared World.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one particular championship game. It was like where later on Troy Aikman would say, I don't remember what happened in that game. And he played like, I think 3/4 plus and then got a concussion on that. And then the one thing that Bernie Kosar did all year, he went in and actually made it like San Francisco was on the verge of having a whole comeback. And he made one play that was like went for a long touchdown and kind of put the game away. And that was like his one contribution to that.
I wonder if that's the highlight he's showing Baker Mayfield on the phone on that commercial.
Oh, you think so? Oh, wow.
You've seen that commercial, right?
Yeah.
Where Bernie's looking for the Wi-Fi password to show him a video on his phone.
Oh, but that might be it. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, I remember those games, like just John Madden, Pat Summerall calling those incredible games.
Incredible games. And you had like Charles Haley going from one team to the other, and Deion Sanders going from one team to the other. It was just the rivalry was so amazing. And San Francisco seemed to come up short more often than not, but because those Dallas teams were just really good. But boy, it was like every year for 5 years. This was the matchup in the championship game.
Yep. And it kind of determined who the Super Bowl winner was going to be for a lot of those years too.
Yeah, people used to say this was the real Super Bowl, the 49ers against the Cowboys.
Yep.
So
and I think the Cowboys kind of like they got this. This was kind of like a last. They were supposed to get the Cardinals again, and then the way things shuffled around, they got San Francisco, and I think it's a tough draw for them. I think San Francisco matches up well against them. They have a good running game, good receivers, and their defensive line is also really good. I think they have questions at their secondary, so I think if the Cowboys game plan is to try to kind of take advantage of like 15 to 20 yard passes over on each side, they can have some good success. But that's if Dak Prescott is at his game and doesn't kind of like have one of those kind of down games that you've seen over the last second half of the season. And on San Francisco's side, Jimmy Garoppolo's got to play one of those clean games, not one of those games where they kind of gave the game away to the Titans, for example, where they had that game. He has these tendencies to sometimes just like go into this thing where he's like making all these mistakes, and I don't know where it comes from. He has the potential to be really good and then kind of just like lose the game on his own and it could go either way. If he has this really good game, I think San Francisco has a great chance to beat the Cowboys, and they match up well against them. And I might be going kind of against what I want. I like you, I've kind of been going back and forth on this particular one, and I'm going to settle with the Cowboys, but with a very, very kind of cringy, iffy type, because this smacks like of one of those typical like Cowboys kind of like go through their season and then they show up at the playoffs and it's like they're one and done. This has that type of vibe.
Yeah, which Cowboy team do we see? Do we see the Cowboy team that came out and just absolutely blitzed the Eagles on the last game, or do we see the one the week before who just dropped the ball against the Cardinals? Right?
Yeah.
That is the $24,000 question. The 49ers looked like they were done in the first
Yep,
half last week
they
against the
did.
Rams, which I was like proud of myself. I'm like, yeah, I got the Rams. Look at this. And then, boy, the wheels came off the Rams wagon again. Matthew Stafford, and we'll get to him
Yeah.
when we do the Rams game. But um, the we know what Debo Samuel does. But the guy that impressed the shit out of me last week was this Juwan Jennings.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He
that's
made
right.
some plays late in that game and in overtime. He won the game for them in overtime. He
Yep,
set up
yep.
the kick. Um, they have a lot of talent on this team. 49ers seem to be getting healthy at the right time. They got all their guys back. And Ayuk's back. Like, they're all here. Um, I just I don't trust the quarterback.
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
And I also, we've seen it with Kyle Shanahan from back in his days in Atlanta all the way up through now. We saw it in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. There's something about Kyle Shanahan where he becomes Marty Schottenheimer or something in the fourth quarter and decides everything that was working is dangerous.
All of a
Let's
sudden,
get conservative now. And has the ability to choke games away with their conservative play calling and their lack of aggression. I mean, how many times have we seen him cost them big
yeah, twice
games?
in the Super Bowl.
Twice in the Super Bowl. We've seen it a lot. So
I don't know.
this is another game I flip flopped on because my initial reaction after watching the 49ers come back and beat the Rams last week, I'm like, this team's going to beat Dallas. But then
Yep.
I stopped and thought about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. Dallas has Gregory. Dallas has Parsons. Dallas has Lawrence. Dallas has and Van Der Esch. Dallas has Diggs. To forget their offense, Dallas's
Who
defense is really good.
who actually all those players rested last week too.
Correct.
They didn't play against the Eagles on the defensive
Correct.
side. I know
And
their offense played well, but their defense was not there.
right. So I'm thinking like I it's at home. It's their first playoff game at home in how like 65 years. So they're going to be fired up. Big D is going to there's going to be 100,000 maniac Cowboy fans in that building. I think the 49ers will give them a good game. But I have a feeling Dallas is I don't think Prescott's going to he's going to show up. I think he's going to show up. I think if Dallas is going to lay an egg, it's going to be the second one. I think they're going to come out this week and be the Cowboys that they were like the first half of the season. I think they're going to look good. I mean, this is a classic matchup, and this goes back to the Dwight Clark catch.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
like there's so many
Way
great
back.
Dallas 49er games, and I think this has the potential to be another classic. I think this might end up like one of these kind of games, but I think it's the Cowboys who are going to take this one in the end. I just think they have a superior defense and a better quarterback in the end. But I think this is going to be a hell of a game because these two teams are very evenly matched.
Yep,
Very, very
they
evenly
are.
matched. No weather report because they're playing inside, which I can't stand. So who cares what it's doing
Yeah,
outside?
nothing. No weather interference.
No weather interference. But there will be weather on Sunday night when the Steelers travel to Kansas City to play at what's this Geehaw Field or Geehaw Field at
Is that what
Arrowhead
it's called?
Stadium, whatever that is. Like what's Geehaw? 8:15 p.m. NBC with Chris and Al. They picked this game as their showcase game.
No, because I know a few weeks ago, Pittsburgh went in there and got completely demolished. I get it. That game got away from them really quick. But as you said before, I still see a pathway for the Steelers to win this game. I'm not gonna pick them. I'm gonna pick Kansas City. I think it'll be a lot closer than what kind of the line looks like or what most people think. Um, but if that defensive line and JJ Watt gets to Mahomes really quickly, like he's been doing for like the whole year basically when he's there, sometimes winning games all by himself. Um, they could make a big, when Kansas City played, just it was like 2 weeks ago against Denver. They were on the verge of losing that game.
Yeah, they were.
It was just this fluky, just this turnover by their defense that turned the game around. Their offense was kind of back to just like not making big plays again. So that could, and the Steelers defense is every bit as good as the Denver defense. Um, I just worry about like their interior run defense.
Yeah.
If Kansas City kind of like establishes that right off the bat, um, they may have a lot of great gains that way. Which is why it shocked me that last week Harbaugh put the game too much into Huntley's hands, and he like had like 3 turnovers. It's like, just your one game is successful. Just stick to that. Why would you? Whatever. Like, I know he's a great coach. I get it, but sometimes I don't get those head scratchers.
Murray gashed them on 320-plus yard runs in a row.
Yeah,
and then they wouldn't give him the ball after that.
I don't get that. So
yeah.
we had that really horrible interception in the end zone or close to the end zone. It was bad. But anyways, whatever. That's football, and I think Kansas City trying to stick. This is probably not their normal thing over the last few years, but trying to stick to some kind of run game will help them a lot, and will give them the edge here. On the defense, the Kansas City defense has been playing a lot better this year. They need to try to keep things in front of them. I know Spagnuolo has this thing about leaving their corners all by themselves. So if the Pittsburgh receivers, who they're all there, right? Is Schuster playing?
It's a game time decision.
Okay.
But insiders are saying he's playing because part of he's been practicing, and someone heard him say, unconfirmed, said, if this is Ben's last game, I need to be there.
Yeah, and if their offensive line kind of gives Ben just one extra second to try to make some of those plays, they'll be putting the Kansas City on their heels, because they've been burned a lot. I mean, just look at their Cincinnati game with Chase. For some reason, Spagnuolo just and he did the whole game. They did it that way, just leaving their corners all by themselves. And we know those Pittsburgh receivers can do some damage against one-on-one. So I don't know. I think I see this maybe like a 6 or 7 point win for Kansas City.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of this game.
There is.
Just getting to this game. This goes back to last week. The Steelers had an 8% chance of making the playoffs. Come on, I wrote them off. They were done. I've been calling them trash all year. They needed the Jags to beat the Colts, and oh my God! And you could we were following both games, and you could see like the way the Jaguars jumped out to a 10-0 lead. I said the Jaguars are winning this game. Like, I turned to my friend Doug and said, they are not going to lose. They're all over the Colts. And you could just see from the body language of both teams that the Jacksonville Jaguars were winning that game. They were fired up. They came to play, and the Colts were kind of, they had a malaise to them. You could just see it. And then Wentz became Wentz. Yeah. On top of that, they needed either the Raiders or the Chargers to win, and that almost didn't happen. That comes down to the last 2 seconds in overtime. And the Steelers themselves had to beat Baltimore, which was no easy task.
That was a big,
in crappy, freezing rain, awful conditions, and it went overtime. And again, Ben in the fourth quarter in overtime was vintage Ben. They had a big 4th and 8 where they got it to Ray McLeod as their fourth receiver.
That was the one where I thought it was going to end there, when they decided to go for it instead of it was an insane field goal. Anyways, it
would have been a 56-yard kick in that slop.
I mean, I don't disagree with that decision.
No.
But I really thought, wow, you actually made that.
Wow. Well, exactly, because if they don't convert that, Baltimore gets the ball right there, and they've got to go 10 yards, and Justin Tucker can hit it from across the street. So, or even if they don't, it's going to run out the clock probably, and a tie doesn't help them. No, I know, but Baltimore didn't have to go far to get a game-winning kick out of Tucker. They were probably going to kick it and win, and then Baltimore would actually be in the playoffs right now, probably. That's right. So so obviously they'd go for the win. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because Baltimore also had a shot. If they won They basically had the same scenario.
Yeah.
But I think they needed Miami to lose, and that didn't happen. I think they additionally
Oh.
needed Miami to lose, and that because they ended up with a 9-8, and I think Miami had the tiebreaker. So anyway, all that had to happen. It did happen. Now you've got the Steelers in this game, and they're playing with house money. They're loose and fancy free. There's no pressure on them. Nobody gives them a shot. They're like a 13.5-point underdog. It's like the biggest wild card point spread of all time. And you've got the mainstream media just dogging the Steelers left and right. They're giving the Steelers so much bulletin board material. Nick Wright from Fox Sports said yesterday that the Chiefs, this is a practice, and the Chiefs shouldn't even play Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. They should just rest them.
That's stupid.
They don't need them to beat Pittsburgh.
That's stupid.
You put keep doing it, media.
No
Keep
kidding.
giving the Steelers a reason to go kick their asses. And here's another X factor. Yes, the Steelers are vulnerable against the run. But the Chiefs right now, Darrell Williams, the backup running back, limited practice with toe issues. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has missed practice the last couple days with a shoulder problem. Now, they're going to play. It's a playoff game, but they're going to be limited. They're not at 100%. On top of that, their left tackle's out. Orlando Brown is out.
Wow.
The Chiefs will be starting at left tackle Prince Tega Wanogo.
That's a big.
If you don't remember his name, he was the starting left tackle in the Super Bowl last year.
Which we saw how that went.
He was a rusty, swinging door against the Steelers' pass rush. T.J. Watt left the last Chiefs game in the first quarter injured. He's not injured.
That's a good point.
T.J. Watt's back. Cam Hayward is having an amazing year. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster coming back, and the Steelers playing with house money. I don't think the Steelers are going to win this game, but it will not be 30-3 at halftime. And the Chiefs are not going to win by 13.5 points. The Steelers actually have a chance to win this game.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Because if they can turn Mahomes over, I mean, they can get
right.
Look, we saw it in the Super Bowl last year. If they can do what Tampa Bay did last year, if they can pressure Mahomes, and now with that left tackle in there, they will have a really good chance of that. If they can pressure Mahomes and force him to start running around and improvising and throwing the ball up for grabs, the Steelers got some ball hawkers in the secondary. Their weakness, as you pointed out, is the middle of the field. And my biggest fear, I'm not worried about their running game as much as I'm worried about Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce, where he goes, right in the middle of the field.
Right in the middle of the field. We saw Travis Kelce just dice up the Chargers the same way. The Chargers have the same problem the Steelers do. They can't stop the run. They have a problem in the middle of the field. So the Steelers are probably going to leave safeties deep, and they're going to expose the middle of the field. They're going to leave it to these their middle linebackers are sad. They're sad, and that's the one deficiency they have besides a 39-year-old quarterback and a weak offensive line. But the Steeler offensive line has been improved the last 2 weeks by using J.C. Hassenauer at center and John LeGlue at guard. All of a sudden now they are actually running and giving Ben more time to throw. So there's a lot of X factors involved here, but I think the biggest thing is up here. The Steelers just don't give a crap, and that is their biggest weapon. And the Chiefs are going to go in with a little bit of tightness because they can't screw up.
Right.
They know they can't screw up. They're at home against one of a team that doesn't really belong in the playoffs. There's better teams on the outside watching this. And so it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be close. I think the Chiefs will win because they're home and they're flat out better than Pittsburgh is right now. But this is not going to be the laugher that everybody's painting it out to be. And if a couple bounces go the Steelers' way, if they get a defensive score or a special team score, they will win the game. They will win the game. But I will take the Chiefs. Let's check the weather in Kansas City.
If I were that Chiefs coaching staff, I'd be in that locker room where I was like, you see all this stuff that the media is saying about this is a joke that's bull, and I'd be like throwing a chair at that. That's bullshit. This is an NFL team, and you need to take this seriously from the first snap of the game.
They're an NFL team with the Defensive Player of the Year on it, who had 22 and a half sacks.
They really need to get into their head before the media gets into their heads.
And Watt had 22 and a half sacks in 14 and a half games.
Yep.
So, imagine if he played the full season. Probably 26, 27. So in Kansas City, Sunday night, we're looking at 26 degrees, real feel 25. So wind
Yeah,
northwest at 7 miles an hour, gusts of up to 10, no precipitation, 1%. So,
that's okay.
and it says a moonlit sky, a cold evening for football. The same thing it said for Buffalo, I think,
Yeah, but
right?
26 is a lot more than 4.
Yeah. 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 So, oh, I just saw the radar there. It looks like there's something headed our way.
Yeah, there is.
So, yeah. So another intriguing game. I mean, it looks like a laugh around paper, but
I don't think
and
it's a
come on,
laugh.
I've been highly critical of Pittsburgh all year, but I'm giving them a shot. Don't think they're going to win, but I'm giving them a shot. And then lastly, we've got some history being made here, Edson. We got a Monday night playoff game
Oh, right. Yep.
on ESPN and the last NFC wildcard game on Monday, January 17th, 8:15 p.m. Another third time around for the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium in LA.
Which I'm a little bit surprised about the Monday night, because the winner of this game is going to have like kind of like a
Potentially
less
short week, yeah.
short week. I'm sure they can manipulate it where they'll play on Sunday instead of Saturday,
In late
and
Sunday.
hopefully they will.
Yeah, they'll
Uh,
have like the
but
6:30 p.m. game next week or
but
something, yeah.
still, I was a little surprised. I mean,
Yep.
I know it makes it fun and the ratings, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah, these two teams are like there's just kind of like very similar to me as they're kind of have these great games and bad sloppy games, and it all centers around their quarterbacks. All of a sudden, it's like Arizona looked unbeatable for most of the season, and then just kind of like lost 3 out of the last 4 or 4 out of the last 5, and then you know the Rams. They have a good running game, and they have a Cooper Cup and good offensive line, good defensive line, but then you have their quarterback there just going into these kind of like these kind of I guess going into a shell at parts of the games, or at certain parts of the game where he just kind of gives the ball away to the other team, and almost single-handedly loses games like that Baltimore game. He recovered, and he kind of made it back, but if Baltimore was anywhere near their full strength, that would have been a blowout by them for what he did most of that game. And I don't know. And obviously, they know each other well. This is another scenario. This is a third game, so the two coaches know each other well. I'm trying to figure out. I was going back and forth because I'm trying to figure out which one is the better coach, which one could take advantage of that. And since I haven't really picked an underdog, that's probably basically the main reason. So I'm going with the Cardinals.
These teams
Uh,
are so similar in the way they're built, the way they're coached, in their offensive game plan, especially. I did not go back and forth on this, believe it or
okay.
not. I picked a straight up winner, and the sole reason, and I've been saying it since about week 8 or 9, I don't trust Matt Stafford at all.
Wow.
He's had 9 turnovers in the last 3 games.
He has. Yep.
Um, he vapor locks. Not only does he vapor lock, it looks like he makes like rookie or second year guy mistakes where
Will this be his first playoff game
I think maybe his
ever? 'Cause I
second. I think
mean,
he had one with Detroit, like
really?
early in his
Wow. I'll
career.
have to go look. I should have looked that
Yeah,
up.
I should
But
have looked it up
okay.
too. But he doesn't have a whole lot of playoff experience, and it showed down the stretch. I mean, if Cooper Cup didn't turn in the season he did, winning the wide receiver triple crown, by the way, in receptions,
Yeah.
yards, and touchdowns, uh, I don't really know if the Rams are here right now.
Yeah.
The guy had
No, I
just
don't think
under
so.
2,000 yards, Cooper Cup, 1,900 yards, like 143 receptions, I think it was, and it was just insane. Um, I don't trust Matthew Stafford. I've also noticed that the Rams defense, Aaron Donald did not have his kind of year. And now you look at the
For a
Cardinals.
while.
The Cardinals, like you said, were the best team for a long time. And then they had that weird 3 game losing streak, and then they kind of 500'd it out the
Yep.
stretch. But they're getting J.J. Watt back. They're getting D Hop back. I think that they're going in. I, I think they almost have the same kind of attitude as like the Raiders. Like It is what it is. Let's just go out there and ball out, and what happens, happens. And I think the Rams being home puts extra pressure on them. Got to put on a show for the home fans, and they got a quarterback who has struggled putting on shows for the fans. I think this one's Arizona's all the way.
And the Rams also all these acquisitions trying to go for it. They think they have a real shot at the Super Bowl. That does put extra pressure on them.
It's another good point. It's going to be interesting. I think the key to the game clearly is maybe the Rams. If the Rams can run the ball, which they've been doing a little bit better lately with Sony Michel, and they got Cam Akers back. We'll see about that. But I think it's going to come down to whether or not the Cardinals can neutralize Cooper Kupp. If they can neutralize Cooper Kupp, I mean, you got OBJ, and I think he's the key. He's the key. And I think on the other side of the ball, the Cardinals have a secret weapon in Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was, I think, their best acquisition of the year.
Yep.
And forget, you got D Hop and Christian Kirk and all those guys. I think the X factor with the Cardinals is going to be Zach Ertz with a 1B to James Conner. Because Conner was out for a while. Conner's back now,
That's
too.
That's right.
James Conner was leading the league in touchdowns at one point. And he ended up with, I think, 15 total. Those two guys are going to make the difference because they're going to be the short passing guys. And they're going to have a lot of run after the catch stuff. I think the Cardinals are just a better team. They took care of the Rams the first time they met. They lost to them the second time they met. But they lost to them at the very end. It was a very close game. And they didn't have Hopkins, and they were kind of beat up in that one. And I don't think Murray was totally healthy either. So
Murray's I forgot to say Murray's mobility does give them the extra edge in terms of getting away from the Rams defensive line, which is their strength. Basically, it does give them an extra.
It does, and
strength.
I think he's a better quarterback than Matt Stafford, just across the board. He's more dynamic a player. So I'm with you. I'm giving you the Cardinals. To me, this wasn't even a battle in my mind. I immediately said Cardinals and stuck with them the whole way. So, Los Angeles, not that the weather matters because they do have a roof, but the sides are open.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So in LA, Monday night, it's going to be 50 degrees. What do I got here? Northeast winds at 4 miles an hour, wind gusts up to 5. So there won't even be wind coming through the stadium. It's going to be pretty much like playing in a dome. So no issues there. So bummer. It doesn't look like, unless something strange happens, we're going to get any snow this week. And I want a snow game. But the good news is Green Bay enters the fray next week.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
It's going to be cold in Green Bay.
Yeah, those divisional games are really, really good.
Yeah. So if Cincinnati advances, we have a shot with them. Oh no, they'll be on the road probably.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. Tennessee's outside, but it's kind of we don't know. You might get a freak snowstorm down there. You never know. But I'm counting on Green Bay to give us, a couple blizzard games here, and we need at least one. Man, when I was a kid, there was always snow games I remember the Houston-Pittsburgh playoff game in '78, I think it was, where it was like slushy snow, and Terry Bradshaw slid like 20 yards on his ass. And those were great games, man. So
yeah, maybe they'll have maybe Green Bay will win their game next week and have two kind of potential snow games.
Yeah, maybe. So before we wrap this up, I want to quickly share this with you. This is from the NFL website. They have projected each team's odds of advancing to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Packers. They give them a 19.3% chance, followed by Kansas City at 16.8, Tampa Bay at 11.4, Buffalo at 11.2, Tennessee at 10.5, Cowboys at 7.5, Cincinnati at 5.9.
Wow.
Rams at 4.8, Patriots at 4.5, Cardinals at 4.1, 49ers at 3. Then we get into the fractions. The Vegas Raiders at 0.4%, the Eagles at 0.3%, and bringing up the rear, the Steelers also at 0.3%.
Imagine taking one of those, just on a.
I might put a 20 on
Pittsburgh.
Like it's.
And then, oh my gosh, that's such a big payoff.
6,000 to 1 odds if the Steelers can run the table.
That's crazy.
I might
Oh
put
my
like
God.
20 on a few of these lower
Imagine
ranked
the
ones.
Raiders. I mean, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick even plus
I mean, New
2,000.
England. I mean, that's.
Yeah, plus 2,000. Belichick did it 20 years ago with the same exact kind of team. So
Jeez, I'm surprised the Titans are that low. Jeez.
people don't believe in the Titans. They just don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think Cincinnati has a good shot.
Any of the AFC teams, I think, is equal a shot as anybody else. I mean, you'll say the Bills and the Chiefs are still the elite, but they haven't really showed it on a consistent
No, I
basis.
know.
They just
Not consistently.
the Chiefs don't look like the Chiefs of 2 years ago. That's for damn sure.
No.
So it's going to be interesting. So we'll see. I think we only have one game different, right?
Yeah.
Patriots and Buffalo.
Yeah, figures that one.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of geniuses we are.
I just love how like just one of these upsets just throws the whole thing off kilter. It's like like my whole bracket's gone.
I have to do a bracket. I don't know if you're in that.
Well,
pool.
he let me know, but I have to figure out how to stop over there, or maybe just send him something.
I'm going to
and try
send him
figure out
something,
how
and
to-
then I'll stop and pay him when I
Yeah,
can. But
that's what I'll have to do.
yeah.
I'm
For
not
those
sure
of
if
you
I'll be-
watching, Edson and I are getting into a bracket pool for the playoffs here at the old Pizza Pop Culture Hangout. So
Yep.
we'll
I have to
see.
send him one.
Yep. So, interested in your picks, and thanks for sticking with us all season. This is really awesome. We've had a consistent audience throughout, so thank you very much for all the support. As always, you can find us on the socials at GeekTimeNet, and our videos are also right there on Rumble. So, if we ever disappear from YouTube,
Yeah.
you can find us over there. So, that's it for me. You got anything else?
Oh, that's it. Be ready. Get ready for the wild. It's the wild card weekend is aptly named. The word being wild.
It's fun. It's my favorite weekend. They kind of go in order. I
Yeah,
like next
these
week because
two-
we get 4 games next week. Then it thins out. We get the 2 and then the 1. So
Yeah, the next week is like you get less games, but you probably get even more higher quality ones.
Next
so
week's the
that's-
best week for competitive games. Yeah. There might be some blowouts this week. Although I don't know. Maybe Tampa
I don't
Bay
know. Yeah, that has a good chance of being a blowout.
and maybe Cincinnati blows the Raiders out. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll
Yep.
be talking about it next week. So send in your picks, and we'll catch you here again. Same bat time, same bat YouTube channel. Yeah. Thing. Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?